Imagine earning just a few $1,000s a year, living paycheck to paycheck, believing life would never change, until one book completely rewired your thinking. That is exactly what happened to Bob Proctor, the man who would eventually teach millions how to change their mindset, build wealth, and pursue the life they once believed was impossible. But here's what many people don't know. Bob didn't invent manifestation. He discovered principles that had existed for centuries and dedicated the rest of his life to teaching them. Who was Bob Proctor? Bob Proctor was born on July 5, 1934, in Ontario, Canada. By his own admission, he struggled in school. He left without completing a formal higher education. Throughout his early adulthood, he worked ordinary jobs, earning an ordinary income. He wasn't considered exceptional. In fact, Bob often described himself as someone who lacked confidence and direction. The book that changed everything. Then everything changed. A friend handed Bob a copy of Napoleon Hill's classic, Think and Grow Rich. At first, he was skeptical, but as he continued reading, one idea stood out. Your thoughts influence your actions shape your habits, and your habits determine your results. Instead of accepting his circumstances, Bob began changing the way he thought. The Earl Nightingale influence. Bob became fascinated with another pioneer, Earl Nightingale. His recording, The Strangest Secret, became one of Bob's greatest inspirations. Nightingale taught that we become what we think about. That simple sentence became one of the foundations of Bob Proctor's teachings. Meeting his mentors. Bob eventually worked alongside Earl Nightingale.
The book, it goes everywhere with me. I love this book. Now I'm going back to the very early 60s. Earl Nightingale was the most listened to man in the history of the broadcasting industry.
This is Earl Nightingale. I'd like to tell you about the strangest secret in the world.
I always say if God had a voice, man, did that guy have a set of pipes. Well, I got a hold of a record where Earl Nightingale condensed and narrated that book. So you take Earl's voice, his understanding, and pack it in to the words that are in here. My God, it would just, it would drive me crazy. I would just listen. I couldn't stop listening to it.
This experience introduced him to some of the greatest personal development thinkers of the 20th century. He immersed himself in philosophy, psychology, business, and the study of human potential. Appearing on the movie The Secret, in 2006, millions around the world were introduced to Bob Proctor through the documentary, The Secret.
Hello and welcome. I'm Bob Proctor, and I am really proud and very pleased to be part of The Secret. You see, The Secret literally changed my life around 45 years ago, and for the past 38 years, I have traveled all over the world, helping people understand The Secret. The law of attraction is always working. You can never escape it. Everything that comes into your life, you're attracting into your life. And you see, as we understand The Secret, then we can sit down and dictate exactly what we want to come into our life. And with absolute certainty, it will arrive.
Suddenly, his teachings reached a global audience. The law of attraction became a household phrase. While opinions differed on how it worked, Bob consistently emphasized that success also required action, discipline, and changing deeply held beliefs, not simply wishing for results. Here are Bob's 5 biggest lessons we should live by. Lesson 1: Your paradigm shift. According to Bob, your paradigm, your subconscious programming, controls much of your behavior. If you don't change the paradigm, lasting change becomes difficult. Lesson 2: Goals. Bob encouraged people to write down goals that genuinely inspired them, even if they didn't yet know how they would achieve them. Lesson 3: Repetition. He believed repetition helps reinforce new ways of thinking. Listening to positive messages consistently, visualizing goals, and reviewing written objectives were habits he recommended to support lasting personal growth. Lesson 4. Decision. Bob often said, indecision keeps people stuck. Successful people make decisions and commit to improving over time. Lesson 5. Self-image. Perhaps Bob's greatest teaching was this: you never outperform the image you hold of yourself for long. Change your self-image, and your behavior begins to follow. Criticism. I think this is important because it adds credibility. Like many influential figures in personal development, Bob Proctor's ideas have received both praise and criticism. Supporters credit his teachings with helping them develop confidence, discipline, and a more optimistic outlook. Critics argue that concepts such as the law of attraction are not supported by strong scientific evidence. Regardless of where someone stands, Bob consistently encouraged people to take responsibility for their actions, continue learning, and pursue meaningful goals. His legacy. Bob Proctor passed away in February 2022, yet his lessons continue reaching new audiences every day. Through books, seminars, recordings, and millions of online videos, his message continues to inspire people around the world. Whether someone views his work as philosophy, motivation, or a practical framework for personal growth, his influence on the self-development industry is undeniable. As we wind down, Bob Proctor once said, "If you can see it in your mind, you can hold it in your hand." Whether you believe in manifestation, the law of attraction, or simply the power of changing your mindset, one thing is certain: changing the way you think can change the way you act. And sometimes that is where every meaningful transformation begins. If you enjoyed this documentary and want more stories about Bob Proctor, Napoleon Hill, manifestation, and real-life lottery winners who transformed their lives, subscribe to Elite Lottery Manifestation. Thanks for watching, and remember, the life you want starts with the thoughts you choose today.